Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about toughening up. A big thing when you join the military and that kind of thing, that they spend a lot of time to kind of help you accept the world you're going to live in. You know, I mean, I think they kind of even go as far as like teaching you to not really see the enemy as people kind of thing, you know, and they really build it up as they're, you know, kind of villains or something that you don't even, you know, see as human beings. You don't consider them with families, and it makes it a lot easier to do the job kind of thing. A lot of people who have been living a very sheltered life, I think you see now in the world, you know, we see our colleges that need safe spaces and they need, protection from harsh words, and we can't tell anybody anything. And if we talk about a religion, you know, if we have Merry Christmas at the school, no one will know what to do, and they'll all go into a frenzy, and, you know, people panic and, you know, that kind of crap. So apparently America is getting a little bit delicate. I think I saw something on Facebook the other day that, you know, people who are, you know, too weak to defend their values and principles, then they're going to be too weak to defend your country. You know, if we're so delicate that we're just upset by anything that happens. So one of our listeners had messaged us and talked about, you know, it can't all be just campfires and s'mores, you know, when we go out on the weekends and do stuff. But it actually, you know, we need to kind of prepare our families for what the world is and for reality. You know, if your kids think that food comes from the grocery store, and, you know, like there was always kind of the joke on the internet, you always see about how, oh, well, you shouldn't, go hunting and kill deer because you should just get your meat from the grocery store so that way no animals are harmed, you know?
Right.
And, you know, that's how people kind of look at things is, you know, we're so removed from the reality of the world. And we really do have a sheltered life, and our kids have had it pretty good. You know, I think we all, you know, it doesn't matter what generation you're from. You know, if you're from my parents' generation, they'll be like, oh, you know, you kids are soft. You don't understand. You know, you didn't have the hardships we did of, you know, not having refrigeration or, you know, whatever. I don't know. My parents had refrigeration, but you know what I mean? The tough, you know, the walking to school uphill both ways every day and whatever. But then you go back to the next generation and they're like, yeah, but, you know, the kids don't really have the same things. We didn't have, you know, the internet like we do. We didn't have, you know, whatever. And then you go into the next generation and, oh, well, you know, they didn't understand. And it just keeps getting easier and easier where we're not confronted with so much. You know, it's all seems to be focused on feelings and and emotions. And that's one of the big things that the military really tries to separate from people. At least back when I was in boot camp, I don't even know anymore. But the idea is you're supposed to be strong and, independent and self-reliant. And you also need the confidence. I just was dealing with a coworker at work was kind of getting in trouble. And it turns out one of his big problems was he didn't have the confidence to step up and do anything. He kind of would stand by and watch things play out and never was really assertive to, take charge and find out what's going on. And he ended up not learning because he wasn't asking the questions. And they basically, took him a rung down and said, hey, you got to kind of relearn things because you're not progressing like you should. Well, that's kind of the whole problem is people are not progressing like they should. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to is, we need to really advance as an individual. You don't need to be coddled and sheltered and protected. You need to learn how to thrive and dominate, how to really accomplish. Because even if you're the caring, compassionate guy, and that's where, we approach the world from, you can't take care of other people unless you can take care of yourself and unless you understand how the world really works. And I think that's something we need to expose our spouse, our children, our family in general and our friends. And it's a reality in these, coming hard times of something we need to prepare for. So,
yeah, I think that's a really a big deal. People are confused about what gender they are and concerned that they're using the right gender pronoun, and they're worried that you're going to hurt this person's feelings if you use this certain word and all that sort of stuff. But when there are wolves roaming the streets, people don't worry about that stupid shit.
There you go. I did just see on the internet that now science has decided that at age 5, we can tell what gender a person is by their voice. Oh, and I'm thinking we don't have to wait till they're 5. There's a way to find out right now. The minute they're born, and with sonograms, even before that, we can tell you. We don't have to wait.
What are you gonna do, man? And I see a lot of this shit about toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some assholes out there.
Well, Kevin, come on.
But the truth is, those assholes are the people you want when the Vikings show up.
Exactly.
It's that boat over there on the horizon. Wonder what that is. Yeah, that's when you want that asshole. It's hard to kind of distill that idea in kids when you're living in a first world country.
Yes.
And you never had to spend a day without food. You never really had to be hungry. I mean, sometimes you have to kind of do that shit to yourself just to stay ready,
Yes. No, exactly right. So that's the thing. So I think, I just wanted to kind of talk about some different ways we can expose our families to things without being harsh, yet bring them up to speed so that they're not terrified when things happen. There's so much going on in Virginia and all this stuff, and we see the world changing. And, you need to kind of have your family prepared for what may come. Maybe it's not Virginia, maybe it's something else, but, the world's changing and it's moving fast, and you need to kind of be aware and prepare your family. Now, one of the things, I had mentioned, people see that the food comes from the grocery store, and a lot of people who become vegetarians or vegans, that kind of thing, it's because they decide that it's so disturbing, how animals are killed and whatever. But if people go out and really understand the process and life and the value of life, then, and that's where kind of morals kind of come hand in hand. People are like, well, they become desensitized with playing video games and, whatever. I don't know what video games people play, but whatever. They do that, Call of Duty or whatever it is, and they're just murdering people left and right and whatever. But that's where you have morals and a foundation, and you teach people respect and the value of life. And I think if you go out and you actually interact with people and treat people with respect, you'll see the value in life. But I think also value comes from making decisions. The more decisions you make, the more value you have, because you're an independent thinker and a creator. And that's, what changes life. But if you take your kids out hunting and show them, how nature works and what really happens and what the natural order of things are, they get a better, clearer picture. When you've gutted an animal and you know how to take care of yourself, you can't take somebody from the happy classroom and then take them out into the brutal world and expose them to, gutting a deer or things like that in day one. It's a process and a culture. And the American culture has really gotten away from that. And we actually seem to do anything we can to take people away from that masculine kind of, society where the man is take charge and the defender and the, provider and whatever, because, women are strong and independent. And obviously women can take care of themselves and do their own thing. But we've really gotten away from that self-reliance. And by the more skills you develop, you realize that you're capable and that you don't need anybody else and that you can kind of, take care of business. You don't need the government to give you handouts or to do things for you. But the less we know about providing our own way, the more trouble we're going to get into, because people won't have the confidence to move forward.
Right. I think the more struggle you have under your belt, the more competent and the more capable you are. Some of the most competent people I know had shit childhoods,
Right.
All parents. And, I'm not saying you need to start drinking more and beating your kids,
but it might help.
It might not hurt. But, I think a firm father figure in a kid's life is a really important thing. Somebody that has their back, but somebody that's also going to correct them when they're wrong. And you see that a lot. That a massive number of the people that are incarcerated had bad father figures. And
right.
As men, it's kind of our obligation to step up and be involved in our kids' lives and be involved in educating them and teaching them, correcting them, encouraging them. There's a lot of stuff that, we can all look at ourselves and see the places where we failed and where we let our family down. But, there's, that sort of thing shouldn't hold you back.
Right.
It's only just more opportunity for you to get moving and keep it going in the right direction.
Well, that's it. Every time you make a mistake, it's that getting up and moving forward. One of the big discussions, in our house over the weekend was one of the kids had graduated from college and she completed a 4-year degree, which is a big deal and very impressive. And then at the same time, she gets the report card and is like, oh, but I got a C in this class. And she was devastated and focusing on the C and, oh, this is so horrible. It's going to ruin everything and all this stuff. And it's like, wait, how do we focus on the little bit of negative instead of stepping back and seeing the bigger picture of, hey, I just completed a huge accomplishment and this is going to open doors for me and help me move forward. But my point is that people don't have the confidence or the self-reliance anymore. And we just don't seem to focus on those values. We focus on the nonsense, And of course, the same kid comes out of college and thinks, well, it's not wrong that they made the age of smoking 21. It's wrong that they didn't just outlaw it altogether. And I'm like, yeah, that's a kid of mine right there. Damn college.
Ruins everybody. But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? That's all I can tell you.
Ban smoking cigarettes and legalize pot.
Legalize pot, because that only sounds right. Damn kids. But so moving right along. But that's it. You got to get your kids out and really do the things, the hunting and teaching them. But also talk to your kids. Talk to your kids about what's going on in the news, why something's disturbing to you or why it's not. Why something's a victory for America, a victory for freedom, and a victory for self-reliance, or if something's a negative to self-reliance. But also get your kids out. Don't get caught up in your world where you're so busy working that you're not spending time and you're just letting the schools and, the whatever aftercare programs or daycare or whatever it is you do, raise your kids. Make sure you're putting in the time and actually helping them understand the world and navigate it. So when things get weird and funny, then they're able to take care of themselves. Now, one of the things that really brought me along this path is I was kind of looking at Virginia, and Virginia's got some scary stuff going on over there.
Yeah, they really seem like they're escalating things. It doesn't seem like it's winding down. It's winding up.
Yeah. It's weird because it's like really the same thing that New York's already done. It's the same thing that California's already done. But somehow they seem to want to push that they're down for the confrontation. It seems to be escalating that way, whether it's true or not. But when the governor goes out and says, hey, I'm going to increase our corrections budget so that way, we're able to deal with people as we have to confront them. And when we see the UN is hiring, disarmament specialists, people get worried. Right.
I think that people are going about this thing the wrong way in Virginia. It's really kind of frightening. The government should be de-escalating situations like this, but it seems like they're eager to have people ended up getting shot at.
Right. It does seem that way. And I feel like if it ends up being a victory for Virginia, then other states are going to follow. If they're like, hey, look, they were able to go get the guns and actually shut it down, then, other states are going to just kind of jump on board with that kind of thing. Because when you're in charge, you want a disarmed population. That's kind of a win for somebody who wants complete control.
Absolutely. You can look at it in 100 places around the world right now. Iran, Venezuela, Hong Kong, and a lot of these governments are just killing people, and there's no recourse. There's nothing that the government can't do because there's nothing that the population can do
to stop them. Right. They're just stuck and they're powerless. So teaching your kids to be confident and understand that, there's always hope and you can stand up. It's important, and it's more important now than, I don't know. I guess always through history, we have to defend freedom. It keeps coming up.
Yeah. Well, I had somebody ask me why I was teaching my kid how to shoot and make pipe bombs.
Pipe bombs.
It's because I'm dope and I do dope shit.
Well, that's a given.
And two, a catalog of knowledge like that makes you a dangerous person when it comes to the government. The government doesn't like dangerous people. They don't like anybody that can, stand up, stand against the tide, and push back. And, there are fewer and fewer of us left out there. More and more of us are sucking up. The cable works, Netflix comes in, my lights turn on when I hit the switch, my refrigerator's always full of food.
I like
don't
food.
have to worry about shit. But, that shit doesn't disappear first. That's the last thing to start disappearing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you need to kind of prepare your families for, what may come, and prepare them with, what they, family operational security kind of thing, what you tell people, what kind of stores you have, what they tell people about what guns you have, whatever. And, it matters. And the more your kids understand what's happening in the world around you, the more your wife understands what's happening in the world around you, the more your husband, your whoever, people in your life, then the better they are to, protect your family and to take care of you and to keep things disciplined, we'll say. It's not a matter of just knowing how to fight. It's a matter of understanding why and what you believe in and what your values are and being prepared for it. And if you have morals and values and, a clear plan of what your family should be, then you're going to be able to survive and get through the tougher times.
Right. And as the great American poet Be Real once said,
be real, sure.
Yeah, when the shit goes down, you got to be ready. I mean, it's a lot of these things that we do, that we prepare for, that we train for, that we practice at, may never become a reality,
Right, sure.
But every skill that you have is a tool in your toolbox. And, if it's changing a tire on the side of the road, or it's, hunting for deer, everything that you learn how to do is an asset that you have, and it makes you more reliable, more competent to take care of every day matters. The more trouble that you have to deal with every day in, day out, the more situations you put yourself in, the more prepared you are to take on things that you don't see coming.
Right. No, so that's, you just need to get your family in order and have things, just keep building towards a stronger family. And what I can tell you is the more time you spend with your family, the more independent you make your family, the more you make them self-reliant, the confidence, and I guess it's really just confidence and abilities and skills that they have is going to make them happier, and it's just going to take them further in life. Plus, if things do go bad, they're going to be able to handle it and deal with it in a way better situation. And that's what it comes down to. That's why we prepare, is to take care of our families. And if you can make your family stronger and better, then that's really where you should be focusing.
Now, the other day I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson talk.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
And somebody asked him a question about what would you do to be prepared for like a meteor impact, like a major world-changing event. And I thought it was funny. One of the things he said was, get proficient in a distance weapon. He said, everyone talks about lightsabers like they're the coolest shit ever. He goes, but you got to be 3 feet away from somebody to kill him. He said, get yourself a bow and arrow or a rifle. I thought that was pretty funny coming from him.
Sounds right.
He also recommended learning hand-to-hand combat. So his cool points just went up a little bit for me.
All right. No, that's it. We just all got to keep moving forward. And, the more you practice skills, the more you're out there doing it, the more, success you're going to have in life. And I got to tell you, a kid that can take, martial arts or learns to defend themselves and just the confidence and stuff they instill is going to take them further in any, avenue that they choose for their career path. It's all going to, move them forward. So, maybe a little less times with the video games and a little more outdoors and actually doing. And it'll give them the confidence to help them push forward.
Well, I don't know about the video games. Maybe we do want to desensitize our kids a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna go with the
Call of Duty. And it's not murder if they're communists, Chuck. They're not really people.
Well,
you have to
definitely
perspective.
All right. I definitely used to play a lot of SOCOM with the boys growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a little bit older now. So, who knows?
Yeah.
There's always games out there. And I think we were shooting, Hajis or something. I don't know what you call them. I don't know what they're called these days. But, that's always, something to keep an eye out for. The bottom line is if you're going to expose them to more and more hardcore violence, it's also important that you instill values and morals and understanding of life and the respect for people and to understand what right and wrong is. And if you do that, then you're not going to have a problem exposing them to the other stuff and to the violence. Mm-hmm. But being prepared, the more grounded you are and the more peace you are with yourself, the less likely you are to get into trouble.
That's right.
So if you guys are enjoying the podcast and you have other topics that you think we should talk about or things, you might just want to ask Kevin or me, you can email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Now, a lot of times when we get an email, people are like, oh, I can't believe you responded. Well, Kevin is a bit of a celebrity and, I understand that. But, we get back to everybody. We just sometimes are a little slower than we should be. Also, if you get around to leaving a review wherever you listen to podcasts, if any of you still use iTunes or whatever else, you can throw a review up there. We appreciate it.
That really does a lot to help out the podcast. We haven't had a lot of new reviews lately. So if you haven't had a chance to go over there, please take a minute and just, give us 5 stars or 4 stars or whatever you think. Give us 0 stars if you hate us. But go over there and rate our podcast and recommend it to people. Recommend it to your friends. We're not one of the podcasts that has a huge budget. We're not one of those podcasts that runs a million commercials. We try and be down to earth with you guys and stay in touch with you guys. And honestly, I've made a lot of friends doing this podcast. Just people on the Facebook group and people I've talked to through email. I really have a lot of, I've really met a lot of interesting people. So, if you get a chance, go over and do some, post some stuff on Facebook. Show us what you're up to. I'm definitely interested in seeing what you guys are up to, what you guys are, shooting at the range or maybe
new knives you're building or whatever you're into. We're down.
I'd love to see some videos on canning and food preservation on the Facebook because it's not something I really have a lot of talent in. So if some of you guys that get into that could jump on there and give us a few pointers, I'd love that.
The Survival and Basic Badass podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today. Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.